Hello, my name is Krasia Tasio. I'm sidereal astrologer from the School of Ancient Astrology de Magi. This video is the second video from the two videos on the protocol of making a horoscope. I called it a protocol because here I'm showing you how to follow the most appropriate steps in the ancient astrology in order to make deep analysis of a natal chart. In the first video, we made analysis of the natal chart of Donald Trump, where we used ancient techniques to analyze the chart. We described the Helek, the Alkokuten, and the Almuten, the holy trio of the ancient astrology. Then we followed certain steps in order to describe the personality of Donald Trump. And finally, we concluded the analysis with analysis of the syzygy, a horoscope of the syzygy, which is to show what the position of the society of the person is, how the person is perceived by the others, what his rank of fame is, what is his mission, how important he is in the society. And we found out that because the syzygy is ruled by ascendant Libra, where Saturn is exalting with Saturnian term, this added up to our analysis that really the mission maybe or the destiny, let's say, of Trump is high fame, rank of fame, and high position, ruling power in society. This second part will be about prognosis, predictions. I will use as a start the prediction methods, which will be the profections. I will use the perfected ascendant in order to start the analysis. I will use the solar revolution and then the primary directions of Regiomontanus in order to make a valid analysis. Of course, we will take into consideration important heavenly events like the solar eclipse, which took place in 21st of August 2017, and which has direct impact on America and certainly on the horoscope of Donald Trump. So let's start with the profections, the perfected ascendant, which will add up to the solar revolution. We would also do progressions. How to calculate profections? It's very easy, and you can find it in an article on the school materials on our website. So the perfections, just briefly to remind you, are showing that our lives and our horoscopes is just a repetition of cycles. It's like the first year of our life is ruled by the ascendant and the zodiacal sign, which is ruling the ascendant. The second year of our life is ruled by the second house and the zodiacal sign, which is ruling the second house, and so on until we reach the 12th, the 13th year, and then we continue calculating and entering the same cycles, the same repetitive cycles in life. So after counting in this very similar, simple way, I found out that the perfected ascendant of year 2017 to 2018 for Donald Trump is Gemini. This sign, Gemini, and the 11th house, ruled by Mercury, is the perfected ascendant of Donald Trump. This means that this particular house, this particular sign, and Mercury will be dominating his life for the period of 1 year from his birthday in June 2017 until June 2018. So remember, the perfections are similarly like the solar return chart, solar revolutions, are calculated from birthday to birthday and not from January to December. So the birthday of Donald Trump from June 2017 until June 2018 will be dominated by the 11th house of the relations with the people, with the public, his achievements, his dreams, his plans, his friendship connections. This is what will be dominating his life for the period of 1 year. Before I continue with the solar revolution or the solar return chart, just to remind you that when making predictions, you certainly need to take into consideration all additional heavenly events like the eclipses, and you need to follow up where in particular the eclipses are happening, what are they eclipsing in the charts of the people. The total solar eclipse, which was completely visible and with shadows covered almost entire North America, happened in the 4th degrees of Leo. Remember that in the 6 degrees of Leo, we have Regulus, the heart of Leo, the most important star in Leo and one of the 4 royal stars. So we had this eclipse happening there, and if you remember, I made a separate video where I explained how this eclipse is going to impact America, because the eclipse happened on the midheaven of America. What we also spoke about is that the eclipse took place on the ascendant of Donald Trump on the 4th degree, or 1 degree away from his Mars, and this eclipse eclipsed his ascendant. This would say that in a period approximately of 1 year after the eclipse took place, dramatic event can take place. He could have problems with his power, with his royal power, presidential power. This eclipse, because the most important part of Leo is eclipsed, and the most important part associated with power is eclipsed, could mean that America, and of course America ruled by Donald Trump, will have issues with finances, with markets. What is considered most important for one country is the financial power. So there I see issues, and I see issues and troubles with Trump, which will take place certainly not immediately, but count like a year after the eclipse took place. So this is something that you always need to take into consideration when analyzing a chart. You need to check whether there are eclipses or other events in heaven that took place. This is the solar return chart of Trump, the current return chart, which is from June 2017 until June 2018. What is this chart about? First, to tell you that I do not make the modern solar return charts. I do take into consideration also the degrees of the moon. It is inevitable to take into consideration the degrees of the moon because we cannot skip the moon. She is of such great importance that to skip the moon means to skip details of importance in the horoscope. So, this is the solar return chart. Remember, the perfected ascendant was Gemini. In the natal chart of Donald Trump, Gemini is ruling his 11th house. Mercury was there. Now, this solar chart is ruled by Virgo. Virgo is on the ascendant. But since the Lord of the year is Gemini, and Mercury, we need to give particular importance to Mercury. So how is Mercury positioned? Mercury, as you can see, is in the ninth house, quite far from the sun, therefore, quite near the sun, excuse me, therefore under the rays of the sun and invisible. So, if we know that on the natal chart of Trump, Mercury will be visible. So on his solar return chart, unfortunately, Mercury is invisible. And unfortunately, Mercury is not in the perfect state. Mercury is ruling the 10th house of the solar return chart, doesn't make any aspect to the natal chart, and is peregrine. It means that he is not detriment, he is also not having any essential dignities here. So Mercury is peregrine. Mercury, which has very much, which is very much associated with the power of Trump, being the only planet in the horoscope with heliacal phase, heliacal rising phase. So Mercury is badly positioned and invisible, which would mean, and this Mercury is also ruling his ascendant, because Mercury is ruling Virgo, but is also, exalting in Virgo. So Mercury is not the ascendant, the ruler of the ascendant of the solar chart, Mercury, and the ruler of Gemini, the 11th house of the natal chart of Donald Trump, is not well positioned. And Mercury is the ruler of the year. What would this mean? This means that the plans of Donald Trump will not go the way he wanted. So whatever he planned before becoming president, whatever he promised, whatever he wanted to happen, none of this will happen. He will be ruled by others. This is also easily seen through the position of Mars, and Mars is also invisible. When Mars is invisible, and when Mars is associated and also of special importance in his natal chart, being on the ascendant, associated with aggression, associated with ambitions, with self-assertiveness, when Mars is invisible and also positioned in a state of fall, this would say that why Mars is falling, just to say, because Mars is feeling very well, is having certain dignities in the place of the winter solstice. So when he's against the place of the winter solstice, Mars is like in a detriment position. So this particular Mars, which is about the self-assertiveness of Donald Trump, which is about his ambitious, which is about his execution of power, is detriment, very weak. He will not be able to defend his rights. He will not be capable of standing up for his ideas, defending his plans. He will be ruled by others, and this is visible from this particular position of Mercury, ruler of the ascendant. Well, Jupiter on the ascendant will be even in stationary phase again. Will say that about 5 months after his birthday, he might have some disappointment related to work, related to people. Things will not go the way he expected, the way he planned. He will be too much ruled by others. And he will be well financially, but will have issues with people. Could be that because Jupiter is exalting in the place of the people, could be that the people will stand up against him, like with meetings, strikes, just they will have their revolts, and he will be the figure that will be ruled by others, by most probably by this hand, which won't be visible for us. He will have issues with foreign countries because of this axis here, the third and the ninth house. The ruler of the 12th house is in the ninth house, and this is the ruler of his ascendant in the ninth house. So he will be pretty much ruled by others and will have issues with foreign countries. Financially, he will be very well. Incomes from abroad as well possible, but financially he'll be very well, very stable. We look at the trine aspect of Venus and of the Sun and Jupiter. Also because the second house of his natal chart is ruling the ascendant. The money will be important for him. Doesn't matter whether he will be reviewing this to us or not. He will have financial very good stability. The fact that the ascendant of the natal chart is falling now into the 12th house of the solar chart is a sign that he might be having some issues with health. And since the ruler of the 7th house is falling in the ascendant, could be issues in his private life with his wife. Also, the fact that Venus is in the 8th house with Uranus could be that he will be having issues with his wife, with his personal life that we might not, of course, he will not be reviewing them, but he will certainly be having issues at home with his wife. In general, I see a year for him until June 2018 when he will have very good financial personal stability, when he will be ruled by others, when he will not be able to review his self-assertiveness or to defend his plans, ideas. He will also be having issues at home, and he will certainly have problems with health due to this particular opposition and the powerful heliacal phase of Saturn, who is in acronical rise. And just to conclude on the solar chart, what I see is because the dominant planet of the year, Mercury, is really not making aspect to the natal chart, I don't see any particular achievements or any particular plans that will be achieved by Trump during his solar year. Now let's look at the progressed chart of Donald Trump. This chart is for his 71st birthday, again valid for the year 2017-2018. Looks like a very powerful chart, has the composition of his syzygy, which we looked at in the first part of this analysis. Jupiter is, you can see, in the first degree of the ascendant. The Sun is in Regulus in the 11th house, in own house. Very, very powerful position, ensuring powerful friends, powerful allies, which will ensure that this particular year he will certainly not lose his power. Look at this triple conjunction of Mercury in phase, Saturn and the Moon. These three planets together. Now this is a waning moon. With Saturn, this is problematic. Problematic for his health. Problematic for his emotional health. Together with Mercury, this will certainly assure very good speech, oratory speech, very good appearance in public, but will certainly also ensure emotional difficulties. Mercury is in a phase, and about 7 months after his birthday, Mercury will give him some achievement that will be related to power, since Mercury is so important in his natal chart. His power for sure will last also this particular solar year. Mars in a phase of disappearance, so Mars is disappearing. This is another sign of problems with his self-assertiveness. It's another sign that he will be ruled by others, by partners, or by superiors that we are not aware of. Venus also in the 12th house can be a sign of issues in his private life. About 5 months after his birthday, like July, August, September, October, November, this month already, he is maybe having issues with his self-assertiveness. He's losing really his capability to show this aggression or ambition that because somebody else will be ruling him, whether we know of or not. We will talk now about the primary directions. As you can see, I simplified his natal chart a lot. From the natal chart, the zodiacal signs and constellations disappeared, the terms disappeared. This is in order to be able to count the degrees, because the first thing that we need to find out is who is the Lord of Terms, because the Lord of Terms for Donald Trump now is the Lord who is determining how this particular time will pass, what will be the most important planet that will rule it. When I calculated every 4 minutes are equal to 1 degree, when I ended up with the 71st birthday of Donald Trump, when I calculated it every 4 degrees is equal to 1 degree, I ended up that this year is ruled by Saturn, so the Lord of Terms is Saturn, which is not surprising, because even though Saturn is creating difficulties, restrictions in our lives, Saturn is also related to power, to the royal power as well. When I look at the primary directions of Mars, and when I calculate them in relation to the power and to his rulership, I can conclude, when calculating, of course, that every 4 minutes are equal to 1 degree, I can conclude that at the age of 73, in about 2 years, he will have special issues and difficulties related to his power. So his power and his rulership will be endangered. Somewhere in the spring of 2018, you can see Mars and Saturn together coming in parallel of his meridian, and this is his power. So after the spring of 2018, he will have issues, health issues, power issues, problems endangering his rank, his status. Then also in the spring of 2019, Uranus, also as a primary direction, is moving to make a square aspect to his Saturn, which will endanger also his rank. If he would survive this problematic issue on the meridian. And then in the spring again in 2019, Pluto and the Sun are making conjunction as a primary direction on his ascendant, which is direction related to his health, to his safety, which I don't really like this direction, knowing that Pluto is coming from his 12th house. This is direction which will endanger his health, in particular his status, his body, his life. In the summer again of 2019, the Moon and Saturn as a primary direction are moving to make conjunction here on his descendant, which is also a direction which is quite negative. In general, what I can say is that the coming direction are directions, primary directions are difficult. What we saw on the solar return chart is that he will not have really very harmonious rulership. His health overall might not be in the best condition. So this is what we see from his natal chart. Of course, we can investigate absolutely every single planet directions, every angle, every single primary direction, and we can do it easily with any program. You can use Morinus as a free software, which also can print out the primary directions for you. You can use also the solar fire in order to move the celestial sphere and to see how the primary directions are moving. You can see my video, the first video on the primary directions, which is also showing how you can move the celestial sphere and calculate the degrees. Every degree is related to 4 minutes of our lives. So you can see how the planets, how the sphere is moving towards the bodies of the planets and how they affect us. So in general, I see when we used the perfection, the perfected ascendant, when we used the solar return chart, in the progressions, we saw 1 year of stability until June 2018, the birthday of Donald Trump. But during this time, difficulties. After that, I see some difficulties which are visible to the primary directions, which we spoke about. If I have to summarize on overall what this horoscope is, what my impression is from the horoscope, if you have to judge a horoscope, whether it is a happy, powerful, unhappy, or a weak horoscope, we can judge simply only by seeing the angular positions which he has, which are the 4 archangels, which are the 4 places of the royal stars, which we can already say this is extremely powerful horoscope. Also seeing the fixed stars in powerful positions, immediately we say very influential, very powerful horoscope. Whether the horoscope is happy or unhappy is also important to judge. Well, we have planets which are not exactly on their places of essential dignities. We see Mercury giving power, giving a rank of fame, giving achievements, but really being in a happy house, in the house of the good spirit. But whether this horoscope is really happy, I cannot immediately determine. For me, it's a horoscope very much about money and power, which not necessarily denote personal happiness to the native. Seeing the position of Venus, seeing the position of the benefic planets, I can say that this is a lucky person because of the fixed royal stars, very royal personality, even before becoming a president of the States, having a Leo as a royal sign and the sun in such a powerful position. So this is a very powerful, very strong, and not exactly very happy horoscope to me. So this was the analysis of the predictions. How do we see the next year, counting from his birthday of 2017 to his birthday in 2018? Just to show you which steps I followed. The first one was to determine the perfected ascendant, to apply it to the solar return chart. Then we analyzed the solar return chart. Then we analyzed the progressed chart. And then we saw only the most important primary directions to angles which should give events in the future, and then I listed for you the most important events that are about to follow until we said the spring summer of 2019, when I see some issues with the rulership of Donald Trump and with his health in general. In the first part, we saw the global analysis of his natal chart. Thank you very much. I'm Krasia Tasio, sidereal astrologer from the School of Ancient Astrology, the Magi. Should you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us on our website, www.ancientastrologythemagi.com. Thank you. Just before concluding, to add that for our horoscope, for the horoscope of Donald Trump, I used the fixed sidereal Babylonian zodiac with the whole sign system. When this zodiac, is taking into consideration the precession and the equinoxes and the solstices. For the primary directions, I used again the same fixed sidereal Babylonian zodiac, but the division of the houses of Regiomontanus, since I'm using his primary directions for my predictions. For making such a natal chart, I would advise the use of the programs which you can find online. This is Morinus, the free software, and the second one is SolarFire. Thank you.